We are having a very special edition of Conversations today. We're talking about the literary arts and its impact on music and revolution. My next guest is Mr. Michael Bennett, better known as Mikie Bennett or Mikey or Uncle Mikey.
Yeah.
Some call him a musical genius. Some call him the Jamaican version of Quincy Jones. Whoa, that's a very esteemed title.
That's a swell-headed thing.
That's a swell-headed thing.
Swell-headed thing, yeah.
Who is Mikie Bennett? I mean, tell us the typical things that people know about you.
Well, because of my involvement in music and a degree of success that I've had, I'm mostly known as a record producer, musician. But, well, I guess the most important role I've ever played is as a parent, as a father. And I take that role very seriously. And then the next role is as a big uncle to a number, which is a role which I take quite as seriously. And it has allowed me to learn so much. I mean, it has taught me patience, and it has taught me humility, and it has taught me how to listen. And in listening, I've learned. I mean, this evening was just one of these wonderful, almost overload of information. And like I was telling Chungi, I was there when it was happening, the whole Walter Rodney thing. And my first recollection of the Walter Rodney thing is how inconvenienced I was personally because of the riots that was taking place. And with no clue as a youngster at the kind of what was taking place as in a literal revolutionary kind of way.
Rodney was the subject of surveillance by intelligence services for practically his entire adult life. The surveillance began in Jamaica when he arrived there in 1960 or thereabouts as an undergraduate. He became active in student politics, which attracted the attention of Jamaican intelligence. At that time, the Jamaican authorities contacted Guyanese intelligence to ascertain if they had a file on Rodney. They did not. But soon after Rodney's arrival in Jamaica, the intelligence authorities became even more interested in him when he was first invited to a conference, a student conference in the Soviet bloc in Czechoslovakia, I think it was. And then he visited Cuba with two other students and returned to Jamaica with loads of revolutionary literature, reputedly. Indeed, the material was confiscated by the immigration authorities.
Then the first time we heard the word persona non grata was we heard that this gentleman was declared persona non grata and went on. But still, I think the powers that be did a good job of just kind of putting a lid on the whole thing. So it was just about. So this tour we kind of descended into Chinamen and people getting beat up, and there was a sense of black power, and it was sold to us then as this very negative thing. All of us have we heard about the whole. We were here doing the do this thing, and somebody from Guyana came and said two words, and right away you look at the whole thing. Then I-Nation, who is one of my favorite people, just come and a total different thing. So it's like I said, we have to be as occupants of this earth and people who really want. We have to be looking at the whole, try to get put the whole picture together. And I'm committed to that role as a big uncle now to facilitate that kind of consciousness. Then.
You were telling me about the first time you really started to write in a book.
Oh, yeah. Well, I used to go to bed and these songs start to come to me. But I couldn't remember them in the morning. So I told my mother, when we were sitting at, evening meal, and I grew up in a very matriarchal family, strong aunts and things. So I was saying to them, boy, I have these songs come to me at night. And I saw them looked at each other and started to smile. The next evening I came from school, there was a notepad and a pen tied to my bedhead. So she said, if you forget a song, just wake up in the night and write it down. Because your granduncle, no, your great granduncle used to do it. But he was living in the country and he was a teacher and he had chalk. So they would wake up in the morning and he had written songs on the wall during the night. And they sung some of them to me. And his brother was the choir master in a compound town. They're from my grandmother's Amaru. So that's where they're from. So I realized that in the DNA there's something like that. Because my sister, she used to write short stories and she used to edit for Jamal. So some literary thing, and my son Nicky B showing some signs of that talent. So I guess somewhere in the DNA, or there's that gift. Recently, I read the book as Brilliant Mind of His Majesty, and the book just resonated with me. I read another one recently, and realized that there's so many. We're not celebrating the things we have in common as much as we celebrate the things that we have different. In the whole question of what we believe.
The topic in focus today is Walter Rodney. I want to draw a parallel between the revolution that was being led by Walter Rodney and what was happening in the music at the same time.
One of the great things about the early 60s is that people are bringing the A game to the music. We are the best musicians in Jamaica playing the music. I mean, the music was at a serious high standard. Technologically, we were probably way behind in terms of the electronic stuff. Yeah. But musically, people were really, really serious. I mean, and as a music person, sometimes I'm a little disappointed that how we have lowered the standards just to facilitate everybody. You know what I mean? And I'm a person that believes that once you set the standards high, and the higher you set the standards, people are going to reach up for it. Because we have it I mean, the talented ones have it. And sometimes we don't want, we're afraid of setting the bar. I don't know why we're afraid of setting the bar so high. I mean, I always say to people, listen, if you go to when your child's sick, you want to take them to the best doctor. So you want the best doctors looking about certain things. You're having a wedding thing, you want the best bake. So we should want the best music, the best people doing the music. And don't be afraid to just, you're alright, but you're not. And that's my approach now. I mean, I work very hard as a producer. And I owe it to everybody that I talk to. When I come for audition to say, listen, this is how I feel. I don't think you quite have it. I think your gift probably somewhere. I think you need to go find a voice coach and go do some voice training, because what we need right now is the best that Jamaica have to offer.
I want to open the floor for any questions, comments.
So we're talking about the music, and we have new sets of people that we say are bringing the revolution or reviving the revolution. But my question is, do you think that they're going far enough in terms of what we're talking about in terms of revolution? Do you think they're militant enough? Because when I compare what I'm hearing now from in some quarters to, for example, the kinds of music that used to play in, say, the 1960s and the 1970s, and if we look back, for example, to Bob Marley, we don't play a lot of his revolutionary songs on radio. We love to play just the peace and love, but if we look at his collection, we see he has a lot of things that are talking about taking action.
We speak about this new movement of reggae, and I am one of the defenders. I mean, anybody talking, but I mean, you'd figure that, boy, this is what Jamaica was begging for all the time. But every now and then I hear like a negative vibe or like a doubt vibe, one of them really this. And I defend them straight, because I'm saying, listen, these are people who are not afraid to go read something, not afraid to use a vocabulary that little beyond, and so we have potential for entertainment to take place right now, and I'm supporting that 100%. I think connects them and them creating a platform that nobody wasn't creating for them. And I sit down and I watch, I mean, hours and nights, you sit down with them and them pack box, doing a thing. And them start with the audience, that was thing. And Jamaica to accept them for what and that's a revolution mood where everybody else was diluting them thing and doing all the other things for fame and to get play on radio. Them start them thing and till radio came. Now them in a position. So the first half, yeah, but I'm just excited about the next 3-4 years to see with the platform that them have. And all I can say to them is listen to the homework. Become very scientific, get the figures right, get the facts right. Because nothing discredit a movement like when half of the people talking rubbish. You understand? I've seen it happen too much time, people something ready to start and the people who come out and start talking stop things that people can just. So get the fact. Do the research. The gatherings like these can only inform us. I can speak. Like I was telling Chungi, he have no idea what this thing. So many pieces of the puzzle just sort out of my head now about that era that I was a part of. And I said, rotted. I've been on the wrong. I know I was on the wrong side of that revolution. So that happened to me again. You understand? Because it doesn't ever make no sense. Just like I said, I was trying to get home from school and couldn't get home because the man blocked the road and this and that. And I was saying, rotted up. And then blame it all on this. So I heard one side of the story. One story, and never do the research. No, we don't have to do the research. It's easy to do the research now. You know what I mean? So, I have a son who's a Rasta. I had to go find out about what is it that, the first set of conversation, no, we have the level of conversation because what I did. I just said, listen, if I want to talk to you about, let me go find out what you're talking about. And I go do the research. And I force him to go do more research. So when he's talking to me now, anybody talking to me about His Majesty, have to talk to me from a position of knowledge and research. You can't come talking foolishness to me about His Majesty because I've done the research. And the research has led me to a point I said, what a wonderful man this is. What a wonderful, And you can't be a person of conscience without being affected by all that taking place. And some of us who've been at it for a while, we say, well, listen, we can't say it no better than Bob Marley, But here comes the next generation and say, listen, yeah, Bob Marley said it alright, but within this dispensation, we feel it like this. And we want to reiterate it. We want to say it again, but we want to say it our way. And I just did this timetable project, putting the timetable to music. For kids from 5 to 10. And it took me 3 years. It's the hardest thing I've ever done. Why? I don't know how to communicate with that age group. So, I have a granddaughter, just got a granddaughter, and it was her. In just going to some of the channels with her and seeing what grabbed their attention, even just the music, I said, okay. And I realized that the people at Disney had done the research and realized the colors that work, the tones that work, the kind of music that work. So with that help, I was able to say, okay. So what happened now is the same thing with pop music and the music. Teenagers have a way of communicating with teenagers. And I guess, there are teenagers in every generation. And so the teenagers now or the young people know exactly how to, they're best suited to communicate. With it. So just like with Walter Rodney and with his peer group at the university, they were thinking a lot of things. And one of the things that I was very impressed with in one of the things is that he took it from the university and then went into the streets. And the person was reacting that he didn't go into the streets as this professor. He spoke in a language. He communicated. And in other words, he was saying, listen, what is it? That's what So, and in a way, our music has done that. If I was a sociologist looking at the music of Jamaica, I think I could just listen to what was being said, whether I agreed or not, and just draw some conclusions as to the welfare, what is taking place in terms of the educational level, just how people are thinking about the future, just the whole perspective, because it reflected in an honest way in what them saying or what them not saying. So what we weren't saying for the past 20 or 30 years is as loud as, speaks as much volume as what we've been saying. So even this, whether it's slackness or whether it's what, it is saying something. There's a message in all of that.
Basically, what you're saying is that music is a voice for revolution, whether it is positive or negative.
I mean, music is a voice. I mean, and when you get to the point where you can't help saying what you're saying because you know that if you, to be true to yourself, you have to say it. And like Chung say, if that make you a revolutionary, so be it. But when you're speaking from your heart and you're speaking from a place of conviction, and whether it's about a love song or about whatever, but in other words, I choose to express this. This is my creative expression. This is my creative life, my creative domain, and I choose to do it. And the fact that I'm in a position where people take note of it is a blessing. And it's a blessing that I take very seriously, and a blessing that I cherish. And it's something that it put a kind of onus on you. Listen, you can't mess up. You have to bring your A game. I'm just so happy that these youngsters find a way to say something, say something that them really believe in. And I'm seeing, and like our nation say, the first thing you have to do is work within yourself, So is the liberty that can attract different people to whatever it is that you're saying. So if the revolution is one of that to change the attitudes and values and attitudes, then it can only come about when people actually, when you let your light shine in your small corner where you are, And so whether you're going to put up a library in an inner city, which I really think is a great idea, or whether you're going to say a little word that encourages a person to go into that library, and all of us going to have to play that little part, In other words, I know I can go up there go do some research on Walter Rodney because of this evening. And when this kind of thing, we just figure that sometimes it's small, but there's a multiply effect now called the situation called the internet now. I mean, when these young people start to blast and this what you call this critical mass. Because let me tell you what happened with this thing. The support, Radar didn't go in and support it. Jamaica media was prepared to ignore it. But there was a movement in Jamaica at the tertiary level between the youth tech and thing that said, listen, you cannot ignore this movement here. And it's so similar. It's so ironic. That is the same place that the Walter Rodney thing started. This whole new movement, it has a footage there, and it has gone right to inner city. So it's like we can only celebrate and support it. I mean, I am very, happy to see in my lifetime again another movement like this take place, and it's just a wonderful thing to see. Some people might want some more, but if that is what is necessary, that might happen. Maybe it don't have to happen. You can just probably walk around the walls and jerk a couple more times, and you know what I mean. So.
You ever go some place and people deal with it and them say, yo, I just want to deal with him fast, and I sense that vibe more time, that kind of vibe from the media and everybody like them just want to hurry up and interview the whole away and put the song them a number one, and then so them can move on with this movement thing. But we have to take it step by step, and I am not interested in a number one now in my first 2 years of doing music. Or I don't want my biggest album to be anywhere now. You get what I say? And where revolution is concerned, first we have to look at what the word revolution means. You know what I mean? Revolution to me is just a difference, it's just a change, and it's just a different way from the normal thing. And I don't think every youth in Jamaica is prepared for that right now. And as a D.S.E Royal say, you can't give Tech 9 to unsound mind. And that is what we have been getting over the years. Them start a revolution, but the people who you tell say, alright, make we go do this. The people them not ready for it mentally, you know what I mean? And them can't function in a revolution. Some of them are gonna fall and start cry and vomit. And you know what I mean? So better we just deal with it from a mental perspective now, as I say. Enough I wouldn't even read half of the book them our nation have a offer to it. Much less we go say lead out revolution. I don't think it's really that time yet, you know. It's a preparation time now, you know, and like this is just the eve of the revolution. You know what I mean? So we have to take it step by step, and Uncle Mike is see what I go on because they are the studio and him hear the song them we are rehearse and I perform yet. He hear some of the song them a voice and a release yet. So, you know, probably him can sit comfortable more than most people, knowing that them doing we see the next half as it, you know what I mean? But it's there and we just have to keep nurturing it, and the revival is not even with the artists them, you know, cause our parents them are artists and the music was always with us. But the revival is really within the mass of the people them who just get back into that frame of mind. So we have to just allow them to take them time, and you can't push no revolution talk on the youth nowadays who don't even know what a revolution is. You know what I mean? So
when I met Walter Rodney and I told him where I was from, he said, oh yes, I was in Montego Bay in '61. I was campaigning for the Federation. Now, he would have been speaking on the platform of the People's National Party. And you would not speak on the platform of the People's National Party without having knowledge of the Manleys. Whether he was a friend of the Manleys or not, the Manleys were not a friend of his. Because when Walter Rodney was banned from Jamaica in 1968, the Manleys were silent and they were complicit in the ban. And the Michael Manley, even when he was a radical, as a socialist, never lifted the ban from Walter Rodney. So yes, Walter Rodney may have known him, just as Walter Rodney said about Orlando Patterson, that we were classmates, we were not class allies.